Hi there. Welcome to Bourbon Turntable. We are the show that blends the love of music with the love of whiskey. With me tonight, as always, is my very good friend Drew Crawley. Drew, what's up, buddy?
Oh, not a whole lot. Another beautiful weekend here in Louisville as we're recording this. We are a week out from Thunder and the official
Yeah.
kickoff of bourbon festivities around the Derby.
Yep.
So I'm taking this weekend to recover and prepare. Uh, we've
Well,
had lovely weather, so a lot of grilling, a lot of hanging out in the yard, a lot of chilling out.
that's
So
awesome.
one of the rare
Yeah.
down weekends. How about
Yeah.
you?
I've been doing really well. Had our good friend Mike from my whiskey den, who was in town, and we went up to Madison, Indiana, to Red Bicycle Hall. I'd never been there before. It's a fantastic music venue in that small town, and they had a great crowd. We saw Maria Corelli, who's a local performer from up in Ludlow, Kentucky, and Christina Vane, who's out of Nashville, and she's extremely talented country blues artist. So that was great. And then we bounced around a couple of distilleries, caught up with a few friends there, and saw you a little bit last night out at
Yep,
O'Shea's. So I can't complain. And it's
pretty good
just getting
weekend.
better because we have a fantastic guest with us tonight, and we will get into a lot more with him in just a few minutes. But Chris Canas is with us. Chris is out of Detroit. He has an album out called Detroit. And, you know, I know where the Thunder's going to be next Saturday night on the 22nd of April in Louisville, Kentucky. It's going to be at Stevie Ray's, and it's going to be courtesy of Chris Canas because, man, they can rock that joint. But so no more spoilers. We'll save that for just a little bit, and we'll get into that. But before we go any further, we want to let Mike greet you as well.
Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. Hit that bell notification to find out when new episodes are coming out, which do come out every single Wednesday on all of the services: Spotify, Apple Music, Google, maybe Amazon, definitely YouTube. And always hit that like button, but hit it an odd number of times. So then that way it stays as a like.
That's our Kansas City brother. Thanks, Mike. We appreciate it. We also want to tell you about Bar Cart Co-op. We've already mentioned My Whiskey Den. They are a part of Bar Cart Co-op. My Whiskey Den comes on every Monday night, 9 o'clock live. They are where craft whiskey is king. You've got Mike, you've got Pat. Mitch has joined them now. Mitch Weddles has joined them now. So a great trio there. They always have a lot of fun with their guests. They do some great sampling, and the chat, the live chat there is always a lot of fun. Distillers Talk is with Alan Bishop and Christy Atkinson. Alan and Christy will talk with distillers across the country and around the world. If you like whiskey and you want to know more about how what's in your bottle got there, that's a show that you need to watch. If you happen to be into distilling, maybe you've got a still in your backyard. Maybe hopefully it's legal in your state. But One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute is another thing that Alan does, where if you're a distiller, either amateur or professional, you can send him questions and he will record YouTube videos and respond to that in detail. So that is Bar Cart Co-op. And we're going to try tonight with Chris some Michigan whiskeys. Chris being from Michigan native, Detroit native. So we're going to dig into that. What we've got first is this Journeyman Distillery, not a King Rye. And we're going to sip on that a little bit while we get to know Chris. So, Chris, you are originally born and raised in Detroit. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. When did you tell me about your family there? Are you married guy?
No, not married. I was married for a while.
Yeah.
And then two kids, a boy and a girl. They were big into music. My daughter likes art. My son likes sports, and they're just two different sides of me, pretty much.
Yeah.
So, because I like a lot of different things, including music and art and parkour, even like a little bit of everything. So, but yeah, when I first got started into music, I think I was in fifth grade, like a lot of us were. And
Yeah.
I wanted to play the saxophone, but I think everybody took the saxophones already. So I was like, I guess I'll settle for trumpet. And then the rest was history from there. So
Yeah. I played trumpet in 5th grade too. And
did you really?
Yeah. My path didn't go quite as well as yours musically. So
Hey, I mean, I still have it. It's in the basement right
Yeah.
now with all the other instruments I have. But yeah, trumpet was one of my first. So
yeah. Now, do you still play that at all? Or
I do, not as much as I should. And
Yeah.
my old instructor, David Drake, would be quite upset with me that he gave me first chair and I decided to play guitar instead many years later. But no, I do still play every now and then. So
Yeah. Well, most people, I think, make that switch to guitar when they figure out what instrument the girls are interested in.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it was weird for me. I made the switch. I found an old bass in my grandmother's garage that I guess used to be my grandfather's,
Yeah.
and it was all beat up and only had 2 strings on it. And I cleaned it up as best I could, and I learned how to play like a stringed instrument on those 2 strings. And once eventually I started playing whole songs, and then my mom she had it fixed and got the other 2 strings added. So she was like, "All right, we'll see what you can do with that." And then and I started playing bass more, and then eventually that led to guitar. So really, it was bass that did it.
Yeah. What a unique path. I feel like that's not super common for someone to go from a brass instrument to the bass guitar to the electric guitar. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. It was definitely a different type of path. So
Now, you mentioned that you had a trumpet instructor. As far as bass and guitar, are you self-taught or
self-taught in every other instrument except trumpet? That's the only one where I can where I was classically trained and I can read music and things like that. But the reading for the other instruments came eventually. As I taught myself, I would teach myself how to read that music as well. So once you learn one, you can kind of transpose it a little bit for the other instruments. So
no, that's great. And so you still live in Detroit your whole life?
No, we were in Detroit for a long time, and then my mom, she decided to move me to Farmington for a minute, and then eventually to Ann Arbor. So part Detroit, part Ann Arbor for me.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all pretty close, right?
Oh yeah. Ann Arbor is 30 minutes of each other. So yeah.
I've been to Detroit a few times, but not enough to know all the intimate geography of it.
I think a lot of people, even when they've lived in Detroit their whole life, the geography is still confusing. It's like, wait, where am I again?
Well, everybody holds up the hand when you start. Where are you in Michigan?
That's how you know you're from Michigan, if you hold your hand up.
Yeah, right. It's like a vegan. You don't have to wait very long for somebody that's a vegan to tell you're a vegan.
Right.
Like if somebody's from Michigan, they're going, "Oh, I'm from here."
Right. Exactly.
Which is still somehow more pleasant than the people from West Virginia that give you this one and then this whole thing. Yeah,
they're like, "This is us right here."
Yeah.
Hey, let's talk about this Journeyman Distillery rye. Have you guys had a chance to take a sip of it?
Yeah.
I did not. I left everything in the box because I wanted to have my first sip on camera with you guys. So
all right, we'll break it out there,
I'm
man.
Wait. All right,
cool.
let's
break it out. While Chris is cracking that open. Yeah, as you should. That's good. Man. You're a pro. You're a pro at this. It is not a King Rye. It's named after George Washington, who famously said that he would not accept being the king after he had served as president. But Journeyman Distillery is in Three Oaks, Michigan, which I believe is down here near the Indiana border. And it's George Washington was obviously famous for being our first president, but he's also one of the country's first distillers. And his rye mash bill was 60% rye, 35% corn, and 5% malt, which I believe that's correct. But that's what this is, and it is 90 proof. And they batch this up and put it out once a year on President's Day to honor Washington. So
Interesting.
Nice.
All right. So any thoughts, guys?
It's spicy, and I'm tasting cinnamon in here.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of cinnamon in there as an undernote.
Yep.
Kind of on a nuttier side. This is really good though. Like,
Yep.
man.
Yeah.
Now, do
That's
you
really good.
are you a whiskey fan? If you're
I
in
am.
between sets at Stevie Ray's, you're gonna have a pour of whiskey.
Look, every now and then when
Yeah.
my mom was with us, she was the big whiskey drinker more so than I was. I
Okay.
usually drink
Okay.
like water and maybe like ginger ale and cranberry juice or something weird like that. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
but yeah, she would always be like, all right, you're gonna drink this. And I'm like, all right, I'll try it. So but yeah, now that I've been drinking a lot more different varieties of whiskey because I go to different places,
Mhm.
I'm starting to get the top notes, the middle notes, and everything
Yeah.
from the scent to how the full body of everything too. So
Mhm.
kind of becoming a whiskey connoisseur a little bit.
Good.
There you go.
Good. Hey,
Yeah, man.
Love it.
all right. This is gonna
Yeah,
be
this
good
is
then.
really this is really good. This
Yeah.
is wow.
Drew, what do you think, man?
Yeah, I'm kind of right in line with Chris on a lot of this. Just a little bit of that kind of praline pecan, where you've got the
Yeah.
baking spices and the sweetness, where
Mhm.
it's not an overwhelming rye in terms of some of the typical ryes that we have here in Kentucky, where it's all dill spice or black pepper. It's still
Right.
present, but it's more on like the cinnamon nutmeg side of things.
Yeah.
So I really
Yeah.
like that. And then I get that nuttiness kind of near the back end, in a way that's not tannic. Like it doesn't dry out your palate, but you just kind of like,
Right.
oh, that's like a pecan pie or something else like that that
Yeah.
has
Right.
that little bit
Yeah.
to it. So I really enjoyed that. Do we have any idea what the age statement on this is, Kevin?
There is not an age statement. It does not say that it is a straight rye whiskey. So I'm
Ooh.
guessing it's under 2 years old,
Okay, fantastic.
which, as I mean, you can kind of see it a little bit. It's fairly dark
Yeah.
Yeah, it is pretty dark.
and it has a lot of good flavor to it. So
Yeah.
I get a little bit of honey on it too. I think you
Yeah,
guys are spot on.
I'm
Um,
getting some honey too.
Yeah.
There's something
This
else in there. Is it
this-
maybe like a coffee? Just like an espresso type of something I'm tasting in
Yeah.
there.
No, I think
Yeah, I can see
especially
that.
on the finish. I think that's
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
I think I'm getting some like coffee vibes on the finish.
Yeah.
That's really good.
No, that's
That's really
okay.
good.
Chris is going to have to be the third host on the show. He's nailing
Welcome
this
aboard,
stuff.
man.
Anytime
aboard.
you want me on, man.
He is nailing
Anytime.
this stuff. Oh my goodness.
Good.
Well, we're going to get into a little bit more whiskey with Chris in a second, and definitely talk a lot more music because we just can't. I'm trying to hold us back just a little bit, but man, that's we've got some good stuff to go over here. But before we do that, I want to let Chris tell us about what all he's got going on. We've got some tour dates up here. Like I said, he's going to be in Louisville. Drew and I are both in Louisville. We've got a fairly decent following here in the Louisville, Indiana area. So be sure to go out to Stevie Ray's on Saturday night to see Chris. But you got some other great dates up here as well, Chris.
Oh yeah. So we'll be in Nashville the night before. We're in Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know they got some good whiskeys down there and some good bourbons down there too. So I'm gonna be trying some stuff, and I might even bring you guys some stuff too. So
Yeah.
and then of course we're playing at Stevie Ray's 22nd. We'll be back home the following week at it's an old casino way up North Michigan in the UP that we've been doing for a number of years now. So. And we got a lot of stuff going on. We're always back and forth between different states. So,
Yep.
Awesome.
But your album, Detroit, that's available for streaming on I know Spotify and Apple, right?
yeah, yep.
And if people want to check out your Instagram page, I know you've got some good stuff on there. You posted a where you'd recorded Stevie Wonder's Superstition, I believe.
Oh yeah,
right.
I just posted that from the show this weekend.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I usually have my set list like in front of me, and I was like, well, but my phone's already right here. Let me get like a quick footage so people can see like that perspective.
Yeah.
And see how it is like being on stage too. So
yeah,
that was the reason I posted that kind of video. I'm always posting like different weird kind of videos. So
yeah. But be sure to check out Chris on social media. Listen to his album, and there's a lot. Detroit's the newest one that came out late 2022. But there's a lot more before that, and I'm telling you, as excellent as his albums are, seeing him live is a great experience. So come out and see him. Maybe he'll have some merch for sale there as well, or you can get it at chriscanas.net. You can find t-shirts and hats and all kinds of great stuff, right?
All kind of stuff. Yeah. All kind of stuff. We don't have thongs or anything like that yet, so maybe one day. Never know.
So Chris, we've talked just a little bit about your music background, but what was your first concert that you ever went to? Do you remember?
Let's see. I think, well, if I go way, way back to like the very beginning, which I'm surprised I even remember being there because I was so young. I think I saw Ray Charles in Hart Plaza downtown.
Oh, wow.
My mom was very adamant that I had to go to that show. I think I might have been 4 or 5, maybe. I was really young. And but after that, I think my next concert was embarrassingly, it was Crisscross. Remember the little kid rappers that used to wear their clothes backwards?
Yes.
I went and saw them, and then after that, I think I saw Johnny Lang, and like I fell in love with Johnny Lang from that point. And I think he had just come out with, I want to say, his "Lie to Me" album.
Yeah.
And it was it was just after him and the Big Bang or whatever the group was that he had. And then after that, it was, of course, the king of all kings, Mr. B.B. King.
Yeah.
And then from that point, it was just, it was done. I was like, all right, only blues shows. I'm not going to see like Crisscross again. I think they were done by then anyway. So,
well, most everybody that's on the show will have one of their first concerts is just somebody incredible, like Ray Charles. And they'll have somebody else that was either their first or their second. You know, they may not be able to remember. That's an embarrassing one, like Crisscross. So yeah, that fits, man. That fits.
Definitely
that absolutely
Crisscross
fits.
For me. There was actually it was a decent show. It wasn't bad. I won't knock them. They put on a good show for the times, for like early 90s or whatever. But yeah, it was bad. As a blues man talking today, it's like, man, I saw Crisscross live.
What about your first album?
My first album was almost like an experimental piece. Really, it was a lot of different genres because I don't just love blues. I love pretty much everything, even down to opera or up to opera, down to opera. Even
over
to
opera.
Over to opera. I won't say it's down or up. I love everything equally. But yeah, I mean there was a lot of alternative stuff on there, a lot of blues stuff on there, a lot of like weird funk stuff. And then as I progress, like when you see my discography, you can see like everything that I've gone through just as a human being and evolving as a musician and as a person. You can see it and hear it in each song. So and then it all culminates to Detroit right now. Right. So yeah, it's pretty cool to see. It's weird as the artist going back and listening to when your voice didn't have bass in it yet. So like you didn't really hit puberty yet, but you're still like on record. It's kind of weird. So you have this like Justin Timberlake type voice, and then fast forward to Detroit, it leans more on the like Albert King voice. It's like that's kind of an interesting progression to see.
Most definitely.
Because that first album, how old were you then?
For some of the tunes, I was 15, and some of them I think I was 16. I was just in that transition. Yeah. And I did it all with like I didn't have a band that wanted to play with me in the studio yet, so I was like, I'll just record everything myself. So it is fully self-recorded. All the instruments are played by myself, and the some of the sound effects that I used like because I know like guitar pickups, if they're single coil, they are susceptible to like radio frequencies. So for some of the sounds you're hearing, I took like a old remote and just held it right next to the pickup to get like a weird, like a oscillating sound to it. I don't know. I was being a weird creative teenager back then. So just trying everything.
There you go.
Oh yeah, there it is.
There's that young man.
Oh yeah, with the cornrows and all. Oh
yes.
My God.
But the shades are there. Okay.
Right. Because I thought I was D'Angelo. So I was like, oh, I'm going for straight D'Angelo vibes. But no, not quite D'Angelo.
Yeah. Okay. So your nickname is Detroit's Prince of the Blues, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I guess I didn't really make the connection when I first heard that, and I probably should have.
Yeah.
But it's not just, okay, Chris is royalty in Detroit.
Right.
There's a real Prince vibe to what you do.
There you go. Exactly. I think a lot of people, when they first see it, they're like, the Prince of Blues. Well, who's the king? Who's the queen? And it's not. Right. It's not based on royalty at all. It's because I deliver like my music and my style as if in the realm of Prince, because he's like one of my idols. I mean, I have a lot of them. I have vocal idols. I have instrument idols. You know, it bounces back and forth between many different people. But yeah, I try to deliver as if Prince is delivering. So
yeah.
Now I know you do Purple Rain.
Oh yeah,
show.
Yep. And I don't think I can go a show without doing it now. So
well, you shouldn't, because it kills. It absolutely kills.
Pretty good.
Appreciate that.
I was watching it on YouTube a couple days ago, in preparation for the show. Man, it's good.
Thank you very much, very much.
So, at what point did, and I don't know how old of a guy you are or when you would have gotten into Prince, but was Prince still pretty active recording when you first?
I mean, I think he's talking Prince. He's always active in recording until the day he passed away. I got into Prince, I think I was a teenager, and I mean, my mom was a huge Prince fan, but I always thought it was corny, and I was like, I'm not listening to this guy. He's weird. And so, when I was younger, obviously I wanted to go see Criss Cross like a fool. So, but it wasn't until I started diving deeper into guitar players, into, different funk players and fusion and things like that I started to like really listen to what he's actually playing and listening to the things that he's writing. And then I was like, that's pretty deep. That's, that's some deep diving stuff he's doing. So, and then I heard an obscure cut of, I think it was Jimi Hendrix's Red House, but it was Prince doing it as Purple House. And I was like, that can't be Prince. But then I realized it was, and I was like, okay, if he's doing blues, then he's my favorite now. Like I got to do some of this stuff.
Yeah.
So I would sit, just like when I first learned guitar, I would sit and record like BB King playing, because they didn't play blues like at prime time back then. Like it was on at like 3 a.m. So I would have to stay up like super late just to listen to blues. And because they didn't have YouTube either back then. And so I had to record it on a cassette and then rewind it and try to play the notes and then rewind it again. And then, and try to learn how to play guitar that way. Yeah. And I did the same thing with Prince's stuff too. So, yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah, it was hard. It sucked. And now I see today, like there's like these 5-year-old virtuosos. It's like, come on, man.
Right.
So unfair. Right. They have so many tools nowadays.
So what was the first Prince song you learned to play?
Let's see. I think it was probably Kiss was my first. Because I mean, it's a blues song. And people think it's, that's funk. That's not blues. But it's like, it's a 1-4-5. It's totally blues. It's just masked by Prince. So right. But I think that was the first. And then When Doves Cry, and then I learned a song called Sexy MFer.
Yes.
And that was one of my mom's favorites. And it just the list goes on. Once you start down one, and you just learn them all eventually.
Yeah. There's a lot there.
There's a lot there. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever see him live?
I did see him live. I think I saw him live in person, and then I also saw him live via satellite at like a movie theater or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they managed that back then, but yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely a humongous entertainer. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, let's stop for a second and take a pour of this Traverse City whiskey company.
Traverse City.
This is a blues.
Drew's looking like no.
Oh, this is one of my favorites. I'm very excited.
This is a barrel proof bourbon. So while the last one was at 90 proof, this is at 116.8. So
okay. So basically water, pretty much. This is like drinking water. Yeah. Giving great. No problem.
Walk in the park.
Yep. Just a little glass of iced tea. And, but some Traverse City Whiskey Company is, as you might guess, in Traverse City, Michigan, which is way up here somewhere. And it's 71% corn, 25% rye, and 4% barley. And I know Drew really enjoys this Traverse City stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Oh yeah, that's really good.
Yeah. What do you think, guys?
What do you taste on it, Chris?
Well, I'm smelling like. Am I smelling leather? I'm smelling like getting a leather smell to it.
Yep.
Maybe a little oak in there, some cocoa. Taste wise, I'm still getting oak taste wise. A little bit of orange peel. They've got some citrus going in there.
Mm-hmm.
What else am I tasting? Is there caramel maybe?
Oh yeah.
Hint of caramel in there.
Yeah. Oh, big time.
That's really good. That's really complex. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Man.
So this one to me, it just radiates that like leather, the darker aromatic side of things, kind of the cocoa, and just kind of things that they're not sweet dark, but they are like dark, but not in like the bitter, unpleasant way. You know, if that makes any sense. This one reminds me a lot of like a peanut brittle, where you have just that little bit of like dark aromatic sweetness. And I could be way off there because I had Indian food about 2 hours ago, so my palate is what it is tonight.
Your palate's shot now, man.
a little bit, but just definitely on that kind of leather vein, and then just such a nice, rich caramel type flavor towards the back end. It's dry and sweet at the same time. I'm such a huge fanboy of this one.
This one's hitting right here. This one's really good. I mean, they're both really good, but this one definitely I would say it's a little more complex flavor wise.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But definitely when you smell it, you smell leather. That's that's the first thing I smelled.
Yeah. I think it's almost
what about you, Kevin?
Almost a burnt caramel. It's kind of like that where you get right up to the edge.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that peanut brittle note is a solid note on it.
Yeah.
And the
let
chocolate
me get
cocoa powders.
Specific.
Yep.
Oh, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
Let me
get
good.
oddly specific. So if you've ever made homemade caramel corn and you get a piece of the caramel that is correct and the piece of the popcorn is burnt, that is the combo that I'm tasting on this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. We call that a fat boy tasting note. when
it's burnt, but you'll eat it anyway.
Well, where you've got some reference for what the whiskey tastes like that is rather decadent, like that's like a chocolate covered bacon or a cinnamon roll or
right.
Yeah.
And there may be a little sugar cookie in this too.
Sugar cookie. Wait a minute.
Let's go back.
Yeah, Chris has a song called Cookie. I don't think
That's
it's
true.
about sugar. I don't think it's about sugar cookies, though.
We'll say that it's about sugar cookies, but it's not about sugar cookies. Somebody's sugar and somebody's cookie.
Oh, good stuff.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's
Good
great,
talk,
Kevin.
Kevin.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah. So a lot of people aren't aware of the fact that there's great whiskey here in Kentucky,
Right.
but there's some really, really good stuff elsewhere. And I just thought with Chris coming on, being a Detroit guy, a Michigan guy, this would be a good chance to profile a couple of really, really good Michigan distilleries. So Traverse City Whiskey Company and Journeyman Distillery, check those out. And we'll next time we have Chris on, we'll find a couple more to talk about.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
So okay, Chris, we referenced the guys in your band.
Right.
DC Washington, he plays bass for you, and
Yes, sir. Yes,
Mark
sir.
Anthony plays the drums, and that guy, DC's a great bass player, and Mark's a great drummer, but Mark is fun to watch in a show.
He can be, yeah. And when every now and then I'll look back and he's like, I think I may have worked him too hard because he's just like, just give me a break, and he'll like drop a little bit. But no, he's they're both they both add to the show in ways that are irreplaceable to me. So DC is always Big Smooth to me. He's always Big D, and Mark is just like a giant teddy bear with two giant sticks that just goes bang, bang, bang. And he just loves it. And he lives, eats, and breathes music. I think he drums in his sleep. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And like I think we were down in Kentucky. My uncle lives down there with you guys. And we were at his house it was many, many years ago, but Mark was just fresh in the band. And we were practicing in my uncle's basement. And we called to practice, and Mark was like, well, I don't have my drums. And I'm like, you didn't have drums when you were a kid, so you should be fine. So he decided to get a giant box and put a pillow in it, put like his foot pedal on it, and just made a drum kit out of regular household items.
Yeah.
And it sounded awesome. I think there's a video of it on my Facebook. I'm pretty sure it's a video on there.
Oh, that's
very cool.
We were just hanging out, just jamming, and it sounded pretty doggone good.
Awesome.
And how long have those guys been with you?
I think DC is coming up on, I want to say 7 years now, and Mark, I believe, is 5.5.
Oh wow! Okay,
awesome.
And how did you find them? Did you know them for a while, or just?
No, I played with DC at me and my mom. We threw like a blues cabaret. And he must have just heard about it and came up one day. And then my previous bass player of 12 years, his father passed away. And then he decided to step down. And that's when I was like, well, I've played with DC a couple times, and he left the band that he was in. And so I was like, come and join us. And the rest was history from there. Mark, I played with Mark at it was downtown. And we were playing with Athena, amazing singer here in Detroit. She plays with Dames Brown and a couple other groups. And he was the drummer for her. And he came through in this like giant fur coat and just, looking like a pimp. And I thought he was so weird back then. And come to find out, him and DC knew each other. So he started playing like a jam. I ran a jam every Sunday. And Mark was the drummer for that when my drummer had to step down. And then when my drummer stepped down, I was just like, well, you already play the jam with us every Sunday. You might as well just play everything else. So that's how we all just came together. We've been together ever since.
Yeah. Awesome. You can tell you've been together a while. You can tell that the guys are talented because it's an incredibly tight show.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate that.
I've got a couple of questions just as, I guess, our resident gear nerd and tone nerd. Not that Kevin is not, but just I'll own that role tonight. So we have a lot of great bands on this show, and we have a lot of solo musicians. One of the things I think Kevin and I both are fascinated by are trios. because you can be a really great trio that leaves a lot of open space, and you can be like you guys and fill a lot of room with 3 players. So tell us just a little bit about how you guys kind of tackle or interpret playing as a trio, especially in a genre where rhythm is so important and tone is so important, like the blues. How do you guys tackle that? And then I'll follow up with some gear nerdery.
Well, so for me, I've always been in the mind of more of a rhythm guitarist. So with DC and Mark, a lot of times I'm supposed to be out front as a lead, but I usually am directing them in where we have to go next. And it leans more towards rhythm. And I play a lot of rhythm in my solos, and I'm very percussive because, like I said, I started off with bass first, and then I moved to drums eventually too. So so for me, it's not a lot of some guitar players, they just want a rhythm section behind them so they can show off.
Right.
And me, I'd rather show off the entire song as a whole instead of just me. So, I want to feature DC, I want to feature Mark, and I like to add rhythms in the background that helps showcase their talents too. And at the same time delivering the message that we need to deliver in the song. So usually I approach that, whereas if I have a keyboard, for instance, I can do a little bit less. In rhythm wise, I can stop playing and it sounds fine. Even with just DC and Mark going, sometimes I'll stop playing anyway, just to add that dynamic of nothingness, and then we can build it back up from there. And all of these are they're just tactics that I've heard in other like top musicians like Prince and BB King and all those folks, and they're just things that just occur naturally to me, and they can take those cues, because a lot of what you see in the show is not planned at all. We just connect together, and it comes together. They know where I'm about to go based on the way my hips are moving at the time. So Mark says, or DC will see my hand do a certain thing, and he'll be like, okay, he's about to do this right now. So we're already connected that way. But to fill that space, sometimes like a drummer, a lot of people don't like drummers to be really busy. And depending on the song, I would prefer a little less busyness.
Sure.
But if we're trying to fill that space, like you said, then sure, go ahead and be a little bit busier. Then we can make it sound like there's 9 people up here as opposed to just the 3 of us. So but then when you want to get real sweet, you dial it back and add that empty space to create a more complex emotion. So
absolutely. Love it. Thank you for sharing that in depth of a thing with us, because we love that.
Man. For sure.
Let me follow that up with a little bit of a gear question. So,
all right,
this might show my limited kind of scope of knowledge, but when I think blues sound, I think Strats and I think hollow body Gibsons, and you're sitting there with a solid body Gibson in all the pictures I see of you. Talk to us a little bit about your gear choices, your amp choices, all that kind of stuff. Why those things, and what does that accomplish for you that's a little different than what we hear otherwise?
For sure. Well, when I started, I just would buy whatever I could afford. My first guitar, I think, was a cherry red Squier Stratocaster. And I think that would be the only time I've ever owned a Stratocaster in my life.
Wow.
After that, I put like a Celebrate Diversity sticker on it and a bunch of other weird stuff, because I thought that was like, this is cool. Guitar players do this. But then I grew up a little, and I was like, I'm not going to ruin my finish with all these stickers. It's going to rub off anyway. So then I traded that in for a Telecaster. And I love a Telecaster. I'm actually looking to get a Troublemaker Telecaster if I can find one. And then from there, I went to, I think it was a semi-hollow 135. It was a Samick Avion. And I used to get made fun of for playing a Samick. People were all like, oh, you got to get a Gibson and you got to do this. It's like, no, you just got to play what feels good to you. And I always caught flack about that, but I never gave 2 craps about it. But so eventually I got an Epiphone, and then I finally did end up getting a Gibson. And it just, the semi-hollow, it would always give me a lot of feedback. So I would have to stuff the F-holes and everything. And I just like efficiency, and I don't like to tinker with stuff too much. So
Sure.
I'll just get a solid body, then I'll have to deal with all that. So then, that's when I switched to solid body, and it's been pretty much solid body Les Pauls from that point on. That was 15, maybe 20 years now.
Oh, wow. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. So it really was an evolution of what you were looking for in tone and you were looking for in terms of, you said, efficiency. That makes a ton of sense to me. I thought that was a unique approach, and I love the tone that you have, and especially in your studio albums, obviously not having had the chance to see you live, but that's really cool, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Awesome. Well, I mean, I would like to use it to get a Strat so I can get those like really spanky, funky, like Corey Wong vibes going. But
yeah,
I can, if I just split my pots with the, with a Les Paul, I can do this basically the same thing. So
yeah.
I think in a perfect world, I would have like a Telecaster here and a Les Paul there, and then I'm good to go. I can do anything with either one of those guitars. So
yep, awesome. I love it. Well, talk to us a little bit about your songwriting process and kind of how that evolves. Are you a lyrics first guy? Is it, does it evolve from a thought, a dream, a book that you read, or are you a music first and then you just kind of try to feel out the vibe of the song musically and then retrofit?
For me, it's a little bit of everything. I primarily write the feeling of a song. Like I'll sit here and I'll have an emotion, and then I'll be like, man, I need to like write something. And then I'll go get my acoustic and just get down the general sound that I'm looking for. Like, what sound is the emotion that I'm feeling right now? Does it sound minor? Because minor sounds very dark. Is it bright and major? Is it, weird and like, use dominant chords, or should I want to sound sweet with a major seventh? I don't know. But that's where it'll start, with the basic emotion that I'm having. And then from there, I feel, okay, well, what story would I tell and why am I feeling this way? And that's where the stories come from. So like every song I've written is literally true, unless it's like so far off base as like, that can't be true. But a lot of the crazy stuff that are in my songs is true.
Right.
So it stems from just emotion. I typically write a lot of songs, like the rhythms first, and then I'll go back and be like, oh yeah, that's what I was feeling at this time. So I'm gonna write the lyrics to that. It's very rare that I write lyrics first without any idea of what the song's gonna sound like. So I typically have some kind of sound in my head and some kind of key or something before I write the lyrics.
Very cool.
Because your songs come from a lot of different blues angles, if you will. Because there's some traditional blues that you think about, a Son House, Robert Johnson, that kind of thing.
Right.
Then there's some B.B. King influence in there, and then there's some obviously the Prince influences in there. And I know a lot of people just don't necessarily associate him with blues, but I think that's there. You just got to scratch the surface just a touch. So you're bringing in songs from a lot of different angles. So what are those influences? How do you keep those influences fresh as far as where to go? Because your album Detroit has all of that in it.
Yeah. So for me, I listen to so much different music. Like I listen to steampunk type stuff. I listen to, like I said, opera or classical, or I pull from a lot of different genres, and I get that honestly from, my parents were humongous fans of just every kind of music. So, so I think that kind of diversity helps to diversify a catalog on an album or in a discography. You can hear all of the influences. And I think that's where the whole Prince of the blues comes from, because Prince, in his own genre, he just pioneered everything. He did everything.
Right.
Like 1 minute he's playing you a ballad, and then another minute he's playing you some kind of like hardcore, just Minneapolis funk, and then another minute he's playing blues. So you don't know what you're going to get. And that's usually how I approach music in general. Is anything's possible as long as I have the skill set to play it and the imagination to put it down. We can go anywhere, and that's just how I approach everything, pretty much, whether it be art or writing a story or writing a song or playing an instrument. Just I approach everything with this massive, just be imaginative, be creative, be free, be open, and that's it.
Love it.
Yeah. So over the years, how have you seen yourself develop as a musician and as a songwriter?
Man, it's been like sometimes you know, like you get that like musician's rut where you feel like, man, I'm playing the same things all the time. And then you'll fall asleep one day, you'll wake up, you'll get ready for a gig, and then you're just magically better than you were yesterday. I don't know how that happens. It's almost like when because I watch a lot of anime, it's almost like when you're like going from a Saiyan to a Super Saiyan. It's just like, I have this ultimate power now. And then it just opens you up to everything. And I think some psychiatrists call it like a flow, where you're like in the zone. I know Michael Jordan's definitely had it a million times in his life. Right. But you have this certain energy, and everything you do is just creative and interesting and strange, and it just works. And then other times you're banging your head against the floor because you don't know what to do next. So it's
momentum's a real thing in any aspect of life, and whatever you do, sports, music, you know, wherever you work, whatever you do, momentum's a thing. And there are times that everything just kind of seems to be just flowing, and you're in that flow, and you don't want to disrupt that flow, and then there are times where it's just, I'm going to keep working it, and I'll find that flow again and that momentum again, and just enjoy those times, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yep, absolutely.
So you say you listen to a lot of different music, so what's something that we would be surprised that you might be listening to right now?
Oh man, let's see. I'm listening to a lot of Lizzo. There's a newer guy. He came out a couple years ago. I think I saw him on NPR's Tiny Desk. It's the Fantastic Negrito.
Yes,
I've been listening to him.
So
He's pretty
good.
dope. He's so good, and he just came out of nowhere. I've been listening to a lot of Marcus King. Like phenomenal, crazy Southern rock fusion blues guy. He's up there with Chris Stone too. Like I've known Chris Stone for a number of years now, and so I've been, of course, listening to him, following his career. And Alan Stone is one of my like top vocalists. Yeah, I discovered Teddy Swims not too long ago, maybe a couple years ago. I think he started on YouTube, and now he's like touring all over.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Oh man. And I listen to a lot of Scary Pockets, who just they have that Wolfpack feel. And I think the keyboard player, I think he used to be in Wolfpack. I'm not sure, but I don't know. He looks like him, so I don't know. He might be the same person. They all look alike. I don't know. But I mean, Wolfpack too. Just everything and anything.
Yeah. It's good, man. Oh, you're like listing off my Spotify rap for last year.
Right.
It's great.
Right.
Good stuff.
It's crazy, man. There's some really talented people out there, and it's just and a lot of them just go unnoticed. Like Mark Broussard is another one. He was like underground for a long time, and I felt like I was the only one that knew about him. And then like all of a sudden everyone knew about him, and then he fell off again, and now he's back again. So it's just like, man, these people are just awesome.
Yeah. I saw Mark Broussard probably 2 years ago now at Mercury Ballroom, which is maybe a 200-person standing room only, like GA type club here in Louisville on 4th Street. The guy can just sing the house down.
He just wails, man.
He can play like, so good.
Oh yeah. Another guy I was obscure. I didn't know who he was at the time, but and he has a very just a very old voice, and he's from Australia, I think. Paolo Nutini. I saw him maybe a few years ago, and it was like you said, it was just like 100 people in the room. It was like really, really hard to get. Like we won tickets to see him, and it was just somewhere in some small place in Ann Arbor, and he just ripped it apart. Like just his voice is just so strange, and a lot of people don't know who he is because he's from abroad, from overseas. So but just amazing voice.
So you tour primarily, it seems, in that Michigan, Ohio, and Louisville is usually as south as you go, but now you're doing some in Tennessee, I guess. Is that kind of the region you try to keep it to, or do you venture out?
No, we've been pretty much everywhere. We've been to Chicago, to New York. We used to play Florida a lot before the pandemic. Like once the pandemic hit, a lot of things just like completely shut down for everybody. Right. So we were even overseas, over in the Azores in Portugal, and we were supposed to go to Naples and Barcelona and a couple other places, but yeah, it's right now we stick to like our general area, like Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky. Yeah. But yeah, we're getting into Tennessee. Like we've gone to the IBCs like maybe 7 times. The last time we were in the finals, and then I just never felt like we needed to go back. It's like, we made it to the finals. We don't need to go back. Yeah. But it's always a fun time going on there. So
awesome.
Do you have any festivals planned for this year? You're going to participate in any of those?
Yes. We're doing the Taos Blues Festival in Taos, Michigan. We're doing the Beer, Blues, and Brats Festival in Ohio. I think that's in Waterville. I know we're doing Ann Arbor's Top of the Park, which is like this huge festival in Ann Arbor they do every year. And it's always like around my birthday. So it's like,
perfect.
We're doing a lot of different ones. We're playing in Ohio, some Ohio festivals a lot.
Yeah.
This year. There's been other ones that have reached out, but we were already booked, so those will be saved for next year.
Good.
Awesome.
Good.
Yeah.
Now we've mentioned the record a few times, so we make sure that everybody knows what it looks like. I think I've got that picture up here. Yeah, here we go. So that's what you're looking for. So if you're on Spotify or Apple Music or YouTube, that's the album cover.
That's the one.
That is Chris in his glory. And so be sure to check that out, because it is very good. You're going to get a great variety of blues styles in there, and just really fun songs. And like you mentioned, that a lot of what you write about is autobiographical. So is that, and you can certainly sense that in the title track, Detroit.
Right. Oh yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Yeah, that one was there was another song that I was gonna put on the record, but I was like, I'm gonna save that for the next one, because it was too fresh and I couldn't fully sing it. It was a song that I dedicated to my mom.
Yeah.
I wrote it before she passed away, basically talking about how I'm gonna feel when she does, because we all knew it was gonna, she was gonna pass away at some point. She had stage 4 breast cancer, and I wrote it, and I actually got to sing it to her in the kitchen, and she loved it. She was like, "Oh, this is a beautiful song." And then when she passed away, I kind of rewrote it a little bit to make more sense, and in the time that we were in at that time, and it's very hard to sing. And I finally sang it on her death anniversary. I think it was last year. And I almost managed to get through the whole song, like almost. And so I'll probably be putting that'll be on the next record, Past Detroit. But yeah, Detroit, it does mention her in there, like, how strong she was, how brave she was. And I think it resonates with a lot of people when they hear it, because they don't expect it in that kind of like blues rock heavy song. They're like, oh, he's talking about his mom in this like really heavy banging song. So it's and that's what she liked to do. She liked to like bang and rock out. So she needs to be in this one. So
yeah. When did she pass, Chris?
October in 2020.
Okay, my mom passed October of 21.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
So and when again, the first time I heard the song, I was at it was at actually at Stevie Ray's, and really wasn't that long after she had passed, and I thought, wow, I get that.
Yeah.
So condolences to you, and it's very brave of you to be able to sing about it. So next album, you kind of hinted about the next album. When can we look for that?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I think I'm trying to get everything going because I have a humongous back catalog of songs that I've written that are just there, and I guess that's even more signs that Detroit's Prince of Blues is Prince had like 1 million songs.
Yes.
So I think there's right now maybe 148 songs on the backlog that are just written and ready to go, and I haven't recorded anything yet. So and now I've just I've written a couple more in the past couple months, so I'm adding to that. So it's not
it's not about waiting to have enough songs to record. It's just
right. Getting the funds up and everything, and getting schedules lined up so we can actually get in there. This last album was recorded at 3rd Street Cigar Records at Bigfoot Studios in Waterville, Ohio. Great guys out there, like Travis, my sound engineer, phenomenal ear, phenomenal human being, just knows his stuff, knows his craft, and just is just an awesome guy in general. And John Henry, the record label owner, he's like deep into blues. Like he knows all the old guys like from Detroit that he's been in the scene for 40 years. So I was like, yeah, we definitely should do a project together. So so they helped me get Detroit together. So and weird thing about Detroit is that they were like, oh, we want you to do at least 10 songs. And I was like, all right. But the night before, like we were supposed to record, I ended up writing, I think, 5 songs that night, overnight. And I had to get up at 10 a.m. to get, down to Ohio. And my band was like, wait, what song is this? And I was like, don't worry about it. I just wrote it yesterday. Don't worry about it. I'll teach it to you. So I taught it to them. And so a lot of those songs that you're hearing now are like brand new for that record. So yeah, those aren't back catalog songs. So those are brand new just for that record.
That's incredible.
That's awesome.
Is there are several towns that have a reputation as being blues towns. What is your favorite blues town if it's not Detroit?
If it's not Detroit,
because I figured you'd be biased and you'd say Detroit if I said which one's the best. So.
Oh, I would get my tail handed to me if I didn't say Detroit. Thornetta's watching, she'd be like, "Why didn't you say Detroit?" So,
right. Well, Detroit's the best, so we'll go with that. And what's next?
What's weird when I was like, you could probably see it in my liner notes on the album is I learned about this story that Detroit was like the Mecca for blues for everybody. And then they, due to segregation and the way they used to build walls and stuff to keep different communities separate. And a lot of the blues guys, John Lee Hooker especially, didn't take too kindly to that. So then they all moved to Chicago. So a lot of the Chicago blues you hear now is actually Detroit blues. It's just transferred over there because they were like, "Oh, I'm skipping town. I'm getting out of here." So, but I would. It used to be Memphis for me, that Mississippi, Memphis blues, and then I discovered Chicago. So I think Chicago for me would be my favorite place. It's just I get a little bit more just raw emotion and raw sound from Chicago. It feels raw to me.
Yeah.
And I think I like that feeling better. So Memphis seems a little more refined and a little more dapper.
A little more dapper. Okay, it's a good word.
On the jazzier side, it's a little bouncier. It jumps a little more. Yeah. Whereas like Chicago is like it's dragging through the mud, and it's just like down. It's deep and gritty. So
yeah. And where does would you put Mississippi Delta blues in kind of a different
that's
vein?
like, I would put, I think I would put that in a different vein, because it's just like where it all came from.
Right.
So it's like everything leads back to there, so to speak. That was like ground zero for a lot of blues stuff, and that's just where it came from. So I think they automatically get get their props automatically. So
we have a friend who's been on the show a couple of times named Chris Tapp. He's a lead singer for the Cold Stares, and he said the thing that really attracts him about the Mississippi Delta blues is same guy can be singing one song about going to heaven or talking about Jesus, and then the very next song he's talking about how he killed a man.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So, you've got the highs and lows with that.
And what's weird is it sounds the same. It's like,
yes, it does.
This happy feeling, but it sounds the same as your murder feeling. It's just so weird.
Yeah.
That's Mississippi Delta, man. That's, that juke joint feel.
Yeah. What about
really, I love them all. So
yeah. So what really keeps the blues going at this point?
Oh man, innovation. Like a lot of people, and this has been an ongoing discussion between me and my colleagues, and like long discussions. Like, do you only pay tribute, or do you try to do something new? And my answer is always, why can't you do something new while at the same time paying tribute to everything from the past? And a lot of guys are purists, so to speak, and then they get tunnel vision of just like, oh, it has to be this way. And these are usually the people that are usually appropriating the music in the first place. So it's like, they don't know where it's coming from because you haven't lived it, but yet you're telling everyone how it's supposed to be, which is weird for me. It's like, how can you tell someone what something's supposed to be when you didn't invent it or live it or know anything about it, really? But so I think innovating and always mixing genres and always trying to branch out, like our Chris Stones and Marcus Kings and Eric Gales and all those cats, they're always doing something weird, so to speak. But then they also can break it all down and just do straight up gut bucket blues. And I think having that mix and that balance is it's like, I don't know, eating a good meal. You got to have your starches and your proteins and put it all together like a good chef would. So
or a good whiskey.
Or a good whiskey.
Yes.
Hell yeah, man.
If it's all
that sugar cookie mixed with that leather is beautiful.
If it all tastes the same, then what's the point?
What's the point? Right. Yeah. And even I as a lover, and just like when I hear some good blues, I'm like, yes, that's what I'm looking for. Even I can get bored with blues at some point. And it's like, all right, it's just bum, 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 bum. And then you play that all night. I can't listen to that for 4 hours. Like, come on, like play something else. But some people can listen to that literally all day and all night. And that's all. That's fine. I just can't. I have ADHD. I can't do that. Maybe. I don't know if I have ADHD.
So your opinion, who are the best guitarists of all time? The guys that have most inspired you from a guitar standpoint?
Oh, that have inspired me? Man, I have been inspired by some of everybody. I've been inspired by B.B. King, Prince, Raphael Sadiq. George Benson is like a heavy inspiration for me. Charlie Christian from way back in the day. I mean, the list goes on. Even weird guys like Yngwie Malmsteen and like Steve Vai, I've gotten inspiration from them too. So and even the youngins like Taz Niederauer or Chris Stone, like these young guys are just ripping it up out here. And it's nice to watch them grow and know that like the things that I'm doing now, I can literally hang up my axes and be like, here you go. You guys got this. And we're good. We got plenty of content for a millennia, really, with all these kids doing these things. So pretty much everybody. pretty much everybody. So
a couple of guys you didn't mention that I just wanted to get your take on. One is Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Oh yeah. And what's weird, I didn't discover Stevie Ray Vaughan until well after BB King, Albert Collins.
Yeah.
And then I heard him, and what inspired me wasn't his blues. It was his jazz that inspired me.
Okay.
Like Riviera Paradise or Tin Pan Alley was another big one for me, but I heard those two back to back, and I was like, who is this? And then that's when I discovered, I was like, oh, it's Stevie Ray Vaughan. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Didn't know. And I didn't know he like paired with David Bowie. I should have known based on the tone, because like I can recognize guitar players based on just hearing it. It's like, oh yeah, that's Eric Johnson. I know who that is.
Yeah.
Or Bonamassa is one of those two.
Yeah.
They sound the same.
That Bowie album, Let's Dance, that Stevie Ray Vaughan played on was 40 years old on the 14th of this month. So
really? Oh man.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
Time flies.
Nice.
Yeah.
Time really does fly, man. That was tragic story, but great musician. Yeah. Absolutely great musician.
Another one just to throw out there, Eric Clapton.
Yeah. I have played so much Eric Clapton. It's almost embarrassing at this point. I mean, and not even for his blues stuff. It was always his like acoustic stuff or his ballady stuff.
Yeah.
And then I discovered like, oh, he's like a huge blues guy too. And it's like, all right, this guy is great. I wouldn't go far as to say he's God like a lot of people. Like Clapton is God signs in the audience. But no, Clapton's good folk. He's good peeps, man.
Robert Cray.
Oh, yeah, Robert Cray is phenomenal. Amazing songwriter. His voice has always inspired me to try to be a better singer. And he just has so much control and so much. It's just so exact. I don't know how he does that. Makes me sick, man.
Well, see,
it's so perfect.
Because vocally, your voice reminds me of Robert Cray, just a little bit lower.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I like we talk whiskey notes, and I taste the leather, the honey, or whatever.
Right.
A lot of times in music, I'm like, okay, I hear a bit of Prince in there, hear a little Robert Cray, I hear some BB King, and so not trying to say that you put anything in a box, but it's just
for sure.
Okay, that's just kind of the vocabulary you use to help understand what you're listening to. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I would be remiss if I didn't put NSYNC in there too, and Boys to Men. Like you got to put them in there. I mean, those super high controlled notes are really hard to get, and singing boy band stuff definitely helps control that upper register and be able to switch from falsetto all the way down to your lower register. And it took me a long time to figure that out. So NSYNC and Boys to Men. For sure.
Very cool.
So many influences.
All right. Well, we've had you on here a little over an hour now, so we want to respect your time.
I didn't even notice. Has it been an hour? It has.
Yeah. Wow. But I did want to ask you just a couple more things.
Sure.
Most fun song for you to play live?
Oh man. Most fun. I will say it's not Tennessee Whiskey. Even though that is one of the most requested songs that we get next to Purple Rain. But for me, probably I would say Detroit is getting there. That's one of my favorites. As for cover, I would say I've been playing Crossfire, and I've always wanted to play that song, but I never knew all of the lyrics. Yeah. So I've been having a lot of fun. I like to mix a lot of stuff, and like you'll hear one song and then next thing you know, we're playing something else, and then we come back to it. So I've been mixing Crossfire with some Michael Jackson, and people are like, wait, what? How's Michael Jackson with this? And we're definitely going to do it on Saturday. So it's awesome. It's going to be fun. Man.
I will look.
I don't know. It's just a good tune. So it's a fun song to play.
Oh, that'll be great.
Any song where I can feature DC and Mark is also one of my favorites, because then I can focus on like just dancing or just adding to whatever they're doing, and it's always fun to see, their reaction when you break things down. So
well, I'll look forward to that, especially, and look forward to being able to talk a little bit with Mark and DC on Saturday too.
For sure.
Got a lot of respect for those guys because they clearly mean a lot to you personally, and they just fit what you're doing so very well.
They do. They really do. So I got very lucky in that regard.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to wind things down here a little bit, but before we do that, Chris, remind everybody where they can find you on social media and whatnot.
Let's see. Well, we are on social media. Our Instagram is the Chris Canas. Our YouTube is just Chris Canas. Our website is chriscanas.net. Facebook, I think, is Chris Canas Blues. So we got a lot of social media. No OnlyFans though, so don't even bother. No OnlyFans. Yeah, you can pretty much just type in Chris Canas in anything and we'll pop up, unless it's OnlyFans.
Unless it's OnlyFans. All right. All right, Drew, where can folks find you?
Yeah, you can find me at drewcrawleymusic.com for tour dates, or not tour dates, but live dates and new music and all that kind of stuff. Instagram's drew.crawley63. And I'm on Feet Finder now. So go search me on Feet Finder, I guess. That was a joke. That was poorly timed. I was trying to double down on the OnlyFans bit. Nobody got it. That's all right.
Okay. I don't even know what that is. So I thought he said Feed Finder. What is that? That's new. Okay. No. Okay, good.
We can edit that part out, I guess.
No, it's staying in. It's staying in. And you've got a new album coming out soon.
Yes, yeah. The goal is November, so we're a little over the 70% mark of what's recorded. We got a few more things to knock out in the coming days, but my friend and engineer Lorenzo is in town tomorrow and Tuesday. We're going to go see some concerts together and finish up some recording. So hopefully that album will be out November of this year. So excited about that.
Great.
Yeah.
As for our show, if you want to watch us, get on YouTube and subscribe to us there. If you just want to listen to the show on a podcast, we are on your favorite podcast platforms, as long as it's Apple, Spotify, or Google. And we will be posting our shows on our Facebook page, so you can follow that. We also have a Facebook group where you can go and you can tell everybody in the group what you're listening to, what you're drinking while you're listening to it. And we will always post new releases of artists that have appeared on our show. We'll post stuff that Chris is doing. We'll post his concert dates. So we want to support the folks that have been here, because we've been very fortunate that the musicians, the artists, the bands that we've had on here have all been really good people and are extremely talented and are acts that we believe in, and we certainly believe in Chris and what he's doing. I've been fortunate enough to see Chris, I believe, 4 times now. It will be time number 5 on Saturday the 22nd. If you are in the Louisville area, I invite you to join us at Stevie Ray's on Saturday night, April 22nd, and be on the lookout on Chris's social media and on ours for future concert dates for Chris. So until next time, on behalf of Drew, myself, and of course Chris, cheers, love, and free bird.
Cheers.
Night, everybody.